Hello, welcome everybody. A little bit late today, but late is better than never. Just got a little bit busy this morning, but we are here. It is officially September 1st, 2023. We are here in a brand new month, and we have just 4 more months left of the entire year until 2023 ends, which is just insane to even think that 2023 ends in 4 months. Now, top line news today, the reason your portfolio is up, the reason stocks are up, and the reason we are green right now is because we got some jobs data. This is what the Fed had to see. Here we go. This is what we've got going in. Really rose to 3.8% in August as payrolls increased by 187,000. As you can see, over the past couple of months, we were averaging probably around 300 to 400,000 jobs every quarter. Obviously, Feb 2022, 904,000. And this was coming off the backs of the pandemic. In the pandemic, we were losing a ton of jobs, so we were getting a lot of those jobs back. July, we had 157,000 jobs. June, we had 105. So this was a little bit more to the upside, and that's what caused a little bit of the downside in August in terms of stocks because we had too many jobs. Now, we are starting to normalize a little bit. The unemployment rate was 3.8%, up significantly from July and the high since February 2022, and estimates for previous months allowed sharp downward revision. That increase in the jobless level came as the labor force participation rose to 62.8%. Why is this good for stocks? At the end of the day, if there are less jobs, there are less people spending money. Less people spending money means less money going into the economy. Less money going into the economy means less inflation. The JOLTS report came out and said that there are less jobs available, 1 million jobs less than what were expected. We expected 9.5 million. We have about 8.5. And now we got only 187,000 jobs in terms of the unemployment rate, which means that that's kind of good because that means there's not 400,000 jobs being created, which means it also puts less pressure on wage price competition and wage price inflation. And that's why stocks are up this morning. Hakoon, Tattooed Investor, Billy Jack, Jared, Garcia, Atit, Delty, Miami Ren, Jude Jr., Kane Frost, Sona, Miguel, Imnot, Broccoli, Brob, Jeremy, Doug C, John, Johnny, Jude, Kimberly, Jeremy, Felicia, 3-day weekend. I forgot it's a 3-day weekend. So Monday I'll be sad again, but still we at least we have today. Austin Smith, love watching these when I get into work in the morning. Austin, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Robert Tillo from Denver, TJ Henry, Cesare Kudrowski. I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong, but it's a dope ass name. Wes, what's up? Kane Frost, I keep seeing EOSE, but I put all my money in Enovix instead. I've heard of EOSE as well. Haven't gone deep into them, but it's definitely a popular Twitter stock. Mara, Robert Santage, Mike Archelangelo, thank you all for being here. When are you coming back to Boston? That's an interesting question. Probably February. I'm always in Boston in February because February is when I'm in Boston. So if anyone wants, if you want to meet me, I'll like more likely than not, I'll definitely be there in February this year. So that's usually when I'll be there. I said it perfectly. Wow, that's amazing. Tesla Model 3 refresh. Okay, we got that. So we got the market open in 2 minutes. Did you guys see the Tesla Model 3 refresh? That is very interesting. I mean, it looks really nice. It looks really nice. Let me just share it real quick right here before we get into that. It looks like a car that needed a refresh, and boom, it got it. There it is, right there. It looks pretty. They're calling it the Highland. It has some model specs upgrades. I think it's a little cheaper as well, if I'm not wrong. But it's pretty cute. I mean, look at that. It's a nice car. There you go. There it is right there. That's the previous model. It looks a little bit more modern and like fit. It's like it lost weight or something. So it looks nice. One day I will get a Model 3. Just not ready to afford that yet, but it's a beautiful car. I mean, just look at that. It's an absolute gorgeous car, and it's electric. So that news came out yesterday, which was super interesting. Don't know if it has any effect on the stock. It's the Model 3 refresh. Yeah. Starting 50K. Okay, so never mind. I thought it was a little cheaper. Nope. Starting 50K. Let's go to Tesla right now. Tesla 257. Okay, so barely down from yesterday. Now, today is going to be interesting to see where the market goes because obviously The jobs report was really bullish on Monday and today. Overall PCE numbers yesterday were fantastic. I mean, they could have been lower, but they were in expectations, which is what the Fed needed to see. So it is a Friday, and usually we tend to get a sell-off on Friday. But with all the positive news, I mean, maybe the sell-off is not as dramatic as we think it might end up happening. So let's see where the market takes it on the first trading day of September. Here we go. September 1st, 2023, 9:30 a.m. The stock market is now open. Wake your ass up. Here we go. Tesla, $257, down just 0.13%. Tesla's up on the day. Palantir, $15.14. Palantir fell to a low of $14.80 yesterday after Morgan Stanley put out their report. We've got a little bit more to talk about that today for why the stock should be down more significantly to $9. Now, very interesting. Cathie Wood, if you follow me on Twitter, you would have known. Cathie Wood bought 672,996, but who's counting? Shares of Palantir. So Palantir falls 10% of the day. Cathie Wood buys the dip. I'll show you guys that in a second. But Cathie Wood was a net buyer. SoFi at $8.77, up 1.2%. Nvidia, look at that, $3 away from $500 at $496.50. Apple at $189. Apple just 35 cents away from 190. S&P 500, $453. Look at that. Look at how beautiful that is. S&P climbing higher and higher, getting or trying to get to that 460 range that it reclaimed in July. And just amazing that it's at 453. It was at 438, I think, on Monday. And so all the data this week was good enough for the S&P to get higher. CPI is the next big piece of data that I think is either next week or the week after next week. And that, I think, is going to determine really how October is. So we'll see how that goes. NEO up 3%, Marathon Digital up 0.06%, Coinbase up 0.05%, DNA, Ginkgo, PayPal, look at that. Hopefully we're closing in on $64 on PayPal, $63.41. Arc Innovation at $44. Robinhood, $11.17. Robinhood continuing its momentum, up 2.53% on the day. Let's see if it can hold 11 before the day ends. NASDAQ, 14,133. So we are up 96 points as we start the morning on the NASDAQ. Amazon at 139, inching back to 140 where it was at after its earnings pump. Google at 137, another 52-week high. Well, 52-week high was 138 yesterday, but very close to that 52-week high for Google. Enphase breaking out to 131. Enphase was stuck at 120 to 123 this entire week. Enphase is up 4% on the day at 131. Not bad at all for Enphase. Rocket Labs is 647, Snowflake 158, Roblox 2888, SMCI 278. This is up from 256 the starting of the week. 3120 on Truist. Wow, we are up past $30, up 2.2%. So we are beyond $30 on Truist. So Truist now in the $31 range. Dix at 117, Zoom at 71, breaking through 68. Target at 127, Bank of America at 2890, and we got Palantir at 1526. Tesla's red. As you can see, everything's green, but Tesla's barely red. It's down 0.37%. So not too red, but it is red indeed. And Palantir at 1524. SoFi at 883. Not bad at all. And again, Tesla just like barely red for the day. Let me pull up the Cathie Wood buys that we saw yesterday. This was, I actually didn't expect her to buy. I kind of, because she hasn't been buying this week because when the market's green, she doesn't buy, right? Which makes sense. If you're a active ETF, you should not be buying when market's green. But I forgot the one stock that was red yesterday was good old Palantir. And that's why it was happening. What is Enphase doing? Why is Enphase green? I'd imagine that Enphase is green because the market's up today. I mean, that's the only main reason that it's up 4%. 4% is a lot for Enphase. I don't know why it's up 4%. I don't know if there's any logical company reason. Outside of that jobs report was really good data. Remember, Enphase is all about interest rates and inflation. We get rid of inflation, we get rid of interest rates. Enphase is going to go through the roof, but it has to have data to get there. So ARC KK, 525,292 shares of Palantir. ARC W, 89,384 shares of Palantir. ARC F, 58,326 shares of Palantir. So it seems like on the 10% decline, ARC F or ARC decides to buy Palantir. Now, on the Morgan Stanley video, I put out a video about that yesterday. This is one of the comments I got in my on YouTube. Cindy says, MS Equity Research and any proprietary holding of the stock are completely independent of one another. Signed, a former employee. And so my response was, well, Cindy must understand Wall Street better than anyone, because the equity research division has never pumped or dumped a stock. It's just like never happened ever, in order to give the parent firm that pays the salary of the equity research that is completely independent an advantage. It's like, I was like, oh, that's never happened. It's never like they give it an advantage. And so my core response was, my teeth are completely independent of my tongue, but they both know what BS tastes like. And it's funny because after I tweeted this, I had someone DM me who's worked on Wall Street for the past 10 years and said that everything Cindy is saying is absolute garbage. He's like, bro, I've worked on the NASDAQ. Like, there's a reason why the SEC keeps having to fine these big banks for communications, because they don't communicate correctly with each other, because the equity research firm can't say the stock should be $9 and then the major firm decides to buy the day the equity research firm, which I'll be damned if Morgan Stanley didn't buy yesterday, decides to say that the stock should be down 50% and then tanks the stock 10%, tanks the stock 10%. And, you know, just in case anyone forgot, you have to be skeptical of the big guys. This was in 2020 when I really started getting into investing. JP Morgan Chase, they got a fine of almost $1 billion from the SEC, and they paid it. Like they literally paid it like it was a traffic ticket from the U.S. investigations, from the U.S. SEC to investigate their trading practices, specifically around market making. So when I saw that headline back in 2020, when I didn't know that much about it, this was in September 2020, I was just like, oh, so this is all a game. And this traffic ticket is just part of the game that these guys are paying. So 1,000% Morgan Stanley obviously has to do what they need to do to get better prices. And that's what it's like. If we interviewed one of the guys who wrote the reports, I don't think they would be able to have a straight face throughout the entire conversation. Like, really, you think the stock deserves to stop 50%, but your company that you're so completely independent from owns 17 million shares? Why does your company own 17 million shares of something you think is worth $9? You couldn't call the head guy at the company and be like, hey, because you guys hired me and I'm the equity research guy, in terms of my equity research, I've come to the fundamental analysis around my equity conclusion that this stock sucks. You guys shouldn't be buying it. Why wouldn't you call your parent firm if like it just doesn't make any sense at the end of the day. So independence in the way that the Federal Reserve is completely independent of the federal government. Yeah, it's all garbage, bro. It's like this is the stuff as you get older. It's like, and I don't think this is conspiratorial. This is more so along the lines of like, it's really harmful, because in 2020, if Morgan Stanley put out a report like that, I would probably sell whatever stock that they put out a report on, because I would be so scared. And I've done that before. I don't know with which stock, but I'm sure I've done that before, just because you're scared. You're a stupid retail investor that's scared. Not stupid, but you're uninformed. You're ignorant. Now you're like, oh, wait a second. What are they doing? Right? Like that's why Kathy buying the dip made sense. It's like, oh, Kathy knows. Like this, if Morgan Stanley puts out a report, it's a pretty legit firm. They want some fucking cheap shares. That's what's going on. And so, that's kind of how a lot of this stuff ends up going up on Wall Street. Disney is dumping. Let's go to Disney real quick, and then I'm going to get some updates on Bitcoin. Wow, look at that. Disney's down 3%. Why is Disney down so much? What's going on with if Disney hits the 70s? Oh my. Why is Disney down? Hold on, let me look up Disney real quick. Disney, let's just go by news on Google. What do we got on Disney? Spectrum loses ESPN, more TV channels, and contract dispute with Disney. Okay, I think I actually saw this headline yesterday. Disney blocks ABC and ESPN from Charter Spectrum viewers. Wow. So Disney is officially getting rid of their premier content channels, which are ESPN and ABC, from certain cable networks. The networks were cut off in the middle of the US Open. Wow, that must suck. If I'm a tennis fan, I would have been really annoyed about this. Charter Spectrum is the second largest cable TV provider in the U.S. 15 million. Okay, that's not cool, Disney. That's a bad move. If I mean, you don't take away content from 15 million people. Just like you could do it at like midnight when they're not watching something super important. Wow, that sucks. That's not like, imagine if YouTube just decided to like pull the plug immediately on a ton of channels while you're watching. Like, that's just not cool, bro. That's carriage disputes happen with some frequency when network owners like Disney renegotiate contracts with service providers like Charter. Disney seeking higher fees. Charter doesn't want to pay them, so Disney has yanked its programming as a negotiation tactic. That's tough, man. And what is this? In 2021, Disney cut off YouTube TV after. I remember this in 2021 where they were negotiating with YouTube and eventually they got back. Wow. All right. Well, Disney stock is down. They got to figure that stuff out in regards to content. That is not the best thing for. That is brutal. That is an FU move. Absolutely, that's an FU move. Because Snow White didn't wake up with the woke prince. Oh my god. All right. Let's get an update on Bitcoin and the SEC stuff that we're seeing. Here we go. We have SEC Chair Gensler and what he's doing with Bitcoin. Let's go to this for a couple minutes and then we'll move on.
Celebrated a big win this week with the U.S. Court of Appeals ruling in favor of firm Grayscale. But late yesterday, the SEC delayed a decision on a round of Bitcoin ETF applications. Joining us now, Anthony Pompliano, founder and partner of Pomp Investments. Anthony, great to have you here on set. But great.
Remember, guys, every guest gets these jokes. What does he look like? Every guest gets these jokes. What does he look like?
To have you back in New York. What did you make of this whole thing?
I don't think everyone was really surprised with the delays yesterday, the 6 delays. Gives them another 45 days to kind of figure it out. One of the important things about the SEC's loss in that lawsuit was the judge didn't say, hey, you have to approve the ETF. They just said that you have to go back and figure out, are you going to approve or deny it on other kind of causes? And so, look, we have futures-based ETFs. I think we will get a spot Bitcoin ETF. The question is when. One of the things that people aren't talking about, though, is this ETF is going to be a demand shock, right? There is going to be assets that flow into this industry when that occurs, but closer and closer we get to the halving, it will coincide with a supply shock in that halving. And I think that we could see a repeat of 2020 where we go up quite significantly in price if that occurs.
Wow. Let's sort of back up. In terms of the price action in response to the overturning of the decision, we saw all of those gains wiped out. And you said that it's sort of not a surprise. So, I mean, why did we see those gains in the first place? And what is so the play right now is to be long, is what you're saying.
I think that Bitcoin's really interesting. It was up like 80% to start the year. It's now down to about 60% up since the start of the year. In July and August, it was down. September's historically been a pretty bad month for Bitcoin. So you get some of those like seasonality type stuff that are playing in here as well. But people who pay attention every single day to the crypto industry, they're not surprised. I think what's happening, though, is you've had a kind of a turning of the holder base, right? You used to have all crypto native people who held Bitcoin. Now you're starting to get more Wall Street people, kind of retail investors. And so those people who don't pay attention 24/7, 365, they're probably a little surprised. But the crypto native folks, they kind of expected this.
What do you think about the way that Gensler, the head of the SEC, has navigated this whole thing?
Yeah, I think he's got an impossible job. Right. If you think about what the regulators have to do is they basically want to encourage innovation. I call it like embracing the entrepreneurial DNA of the United States. We want to be a leader both in capital markets and in technology. At the same time, they want to protect investors. And so I think that what they've been very clear about is their perspective, which is Bitcoin is the asset that has kind of passed through that regulatory threshold. It is not a security, it's a commodity, and they're kind of treating it that way. The rest of the assets, they obviously think are securities. And so there's obviously some litigation that's going on. There's a lot of debate and I think disagreement between the crypto community and regulators. But the beauty of America is that people will go to court, they're going to lay out their arguments, and the courts will decide. Sometimes the regulators will be right. Other times the regulators won't be right. But that's why we have those court systems and the judicial system, and it makes America the greatest country in the world.
You said,
for those people that don't know, Anthony Pompliano is a heavy proponent of Bitcoin. I want to put this comment up for everybody. Juan says, question for all, what percentage of your holdings are crypto right now? Please put it in the chat. I'm actually very curious. What percentage of your portfolio is crypto? Bitcoin, ETF, shitcoins, whatever it is. What percentage is crypto? Look, what Pomp is saying is correct. I mean, in terms of that's why the United States is the greatest company in the world. We are company and country, I guess. We're all able to debate, right? We're all able to figure this stuff out together. And usually we try to come to the truth more than we make bad decisions. Like there are some historically bad decisions, but most of the time, hopefully it's better to debate it out and come to the truth. And like at the end of the day, this ETF is going to be approved. I don't know how it's going to be approved. I don't know when it's going to be approved, but there's just no way. The argument just sucks for why Bitcoin should not have its own spot ETF. So it's going to happen. The question is just when it's going to happen. While you guys are typing in your crypto portfolio allocations, we have some breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. Breaking news. Here we go. It's funny. I was talking about this 2 days ago, and I didn't think this was going to happen for months because of all the bureaucracy going on, but it has happened. Robinhood is buying back Sam Bankman's stake from the U.S. government of 605 million shares, or sorry, $1 million. That's about 50 million shares. For those that don't know, Sam Bankman-Fried purchased about 7% of Robinhood before he went under. He went under. The DOJ took those shares and they basically held them Robinhood is now buying them back. And this is really, really good. Now I get why Robinhood's up today. Where's Robinhood right now? Palantir at 15.20. Robinhood, look at that. Robinhood at $3.04 at 11.26, up 3.4%. The online brokerage said the sale of 55.3 million shares at 10.96 a piece had been approved. Look at that. They're getting their shares at $10.96, 55 million shares. This is great for shareholders. They're taking those shares off the market. They're not dumping them on the market. One of the fears from, I think, a lot of institutional investors was that if these shares just get dumped on the market, then like that's not a good thing, right? That's going to create a shit ton of liquidity or a shit ton of shares on the market, and that's just going to dilute existing shareholders. But Robinhood taking that 7.6% off the market, buying it, and I mean they have the cash to buy it. They have $7 billion in cash, so they have no problem buying it. That's great, and that should have a little bit more confidence from institutional investors coming into the stock, knowing that those shares can't just be dumped on them at any moment, because that was a concern for the past couple of months, that what if the shares are just dumped on them? This is happening a year after Sam Bankman was put in jail. He bought them in September 2022, August 2022. He went to jail around October 2022 or September. So it's been a year since we were able to buy those shares, and it's nice that we have them now. Hood has lowered 7% of its float for under $11 a share. Look at that. That is beautiful. That is amazing. Okay, let's look at the crypto allocations. We got Jeremy Black, 5%. Eeyore was right, 1%, 5%, 0, less than 5, 5, 15. That's a decent amount. 6, 5, 0, 0. Crypto's a scam. Okay, 5%, 20%. That's a lot. 0, 0, 0, 0, 5%. None. Oh, Imnop. I thought you had some Bitcoin. Okay, Imnop doesn't have Bitcoin. 0, 0. Ty, I thought you definitely had Bitcoin. I thought you're very anti-U.S. Establishment. I thought you would hold some Bitcoin just in case, the government goes crazy. 30%. I think that's the most I've seen so far. Okay, so 30%. Maria Strandos. Or Marastian. I'm sorry if I'm saying this wrong, but 30%. That's who has the most so far. 5% Bitcoin, 5% Mara, 5% Riot. All right, not bad. So it seems like most of you have none. Some of you have one. Yeah, Adam, you're the main guy. You're the Adam has a lot. Adam, I would say you have at least like 10% in your portfolio of crypto. At least 10%, if not more. Has to be 10%. So it looks like a decent amount of you have some crypto. So most are at like 1 to 5%. A bunch of people at 0, and some people above that 10-15% range. Palantir now at $15, trying to break 15, probably looking at 14 and under. It's up from 14.80 in the pre-markets, which is nice. The biggest thing about that Morgan Stanley report is you would think that like a lot more people would have, just sold off their stock. And it seems like it was a lot of algorithms, a lot of maybe institutions dumping a little bit, definitely maybe, some retail investors, but 10% is not that bad. Now it's at around 7%. It's not that bad. Given the report says there's a $9 price target. That's pretty intense to go from 15 to 9. To go down from 16.30 to 15, it sucks, but it's not the worst in the world at the end of the day. Price of sale is now at 15.8 for Palantir. S&P at 451, declining a little bit from 453. And if we go to Robinhood should be up as well. I say my crypto exposure is Robinhood, because Robinhood has $3 billion of Bitcoin that is owned by either users or individual whales on their platform. And so if crypto goes up, Robinhood should go up as well. Another breaking news piece from Robinhood that came out yesterday was that they have applied for self-custody wallets, which is really important. Let me pull that up right there. Where is this? So this is also really important in the context of crypto, because it means they're serious if they're going for custody. Robinhood launching custody. I believe, to my understanding, custody means you actually own your own coins. The brokerage doesn't theoretically own it for you. So since there's no FTX presence in the US, they'll take a ton of market share. This is from Alejandro. He's a great Robinhood account on Twitter. I recommend following him. Robinhood getting ready for the next crypto bull market. Robinhood launches custody to receive support for Bitcoin and Dogecoin. So it seems like that's important. And it seems like when crypto starts to continue to go higher, then Hood should be able to benefit from that. Hood is moving to full custody as well for crypto. Yeah. So I think that's my kind of bull case on crypto. It's like Robinhood does well, then crypto does well. Robinhood should do well as well. I had 40% in crypto, but reduced my allocation and stopped adding a year ago, and now starting at 15%, planning to reduce to 5%. That's not bad, especially if you were able to get off and get some profits there. All right, let's take another look at some of the stuff that's going on in the markets and see where we have some momentum here. Remember the jobs report that came out today for everyone that is here. If we're showing unemployment go up, which is up at 3.8%, then that is very good for the stock market. That's why on a Friday the stock market is red or stock market is green, because that means there's less money going to the economy. Now, long term, we don't want to see the unemployment rate go up to like 5-6%, right? Obviously, we don't want to see that happen. However, the Fed was talking about a while ago, if you guys remember, Jay Powell in 2022, in one of his FOMC meetings, he said their target was 4.1% on unemployment. We were at 3.4 at the time. So 3.4 to 4.1, that's like a couple million people unemployed. Now we're at 3.8. So it has ticked up from 3.4, albeit it's taken a year. But that tick up has actually really helped Jay Powell to get less wage price inflation, less wage price pressure, and definitely less overall inflation, just because money can't go into the economy as much because people don't have as many jobs. And so pricing power or pricing competition has to go down. And so if CPI, we can get a good report on that. When is CPI? Let's look at that right now. Then I think there's a good chance the Fed just might not raise, and we have a pause. September 13th, 8:30. Okay, September 13th. I might actually go live for that one. I never go live for CPI. September 13th, that one is going to matter, bro. That one is going to be like, if we can come in at below 3.2, trueflation right now, what do we have? 2.67. Okay, so we're down from 2.73. If we can come in below 3.2, I think the Fed will pause. If it's 3.4, 3.5, because that's what it was last time, it was 3.2 last time, then it's going to be tough. Chris says it's because of increased labor force participation. This is another good point. If there's more people searching for a job, there's more competition, which means there's less wage price pressure, because now if I have a pizzeria and I can hire 50 people and I only need 5, I don't have to pay that much. If I can only hire 5 people and there's only 2 people applying for the jobs, then I have to pay them more, right? They have more leverage. So more increased labor force participation is probably helping in the context of reducing that pressure on wage prices as well. Let's take a look at PayPal. Where's PayPal at right now? Where's PayPal? PayPal is at 62.98. Okay, so PayPal fell about $1 from the morning. It was at 63.45 or about 50 cents. 62.98. Robinhood at 11.17. Disney again continuing to be down 2% today. Tesla 2.52. Palantir, there we go, 14.90. Palantir is down at $14.90. Okay, so I'm on Twitter, and our good friend Chris Patel has shared something. So I'm gonna share it on the market stream. Chris, if you're here in the chat, I'm going to share it because you're here. And, Chris, let me tell you something about Chris. Chris has done very well in these markets, okay? But Chris doesn't like bragging about it because he's a humble guy. He doesn't like showing off to people. So even yesterday, he posted a screenshot about how much he was up in the past year, and then he deleted it after 2 minutes. And then I quote tweeted it, and then people were, and I forgot that I quote tweeted, so I left it up for an hour, and people were like, what are you talking about? And then I was like, oh, shit, like Chris deleted his post. Because Chris is a humble guy, okay? However, today he tweeted something, and he's just, he's putting it out there just to have a little bit of a flex, because sometimes this is more inspiring than this is not flexing. I think it's, especially if you barely show off your gains, sometimes you got to do this just to show people it's possible. This is his SLG position. So what does he have? He has 12,550 shares of SLG. It's worth $503,000, if I'm reading this correctly. And he's up on the day, or he's up in total 137,000. I believe I'm reading this correctly. But this is it. Well, let's just multiply it right now. The SLG is what, $40 to 30. What's SLG? This is the real estate REIT. That's repetitive for no reason, but this is the one we've been talking about for about $39.59. Okay, so 12,550 times 39.50. Oh, I did 3,000. I had $49 million on my calculator for a second. Damn, Chris, 49 million, and you still care about the super chats? Goodness gracious. Yes, 400. Okay, so it's correct. So it's 500 grand. So this is a $500,000 position for Christopher Patel, and he's up 137,000 on that position. Not bad. Not bad at all. That's pretty good. SLG is one he was talking about, and he didn't find SLG. Steven found SLG, dividend streams. They pay a 13%. Let me check right now. 13% dividend per year. Is it 13% right now? It's down to 8.7%, but it was at about 16% a couple months ago when SLG was $19. They have like $1 billion in debt, $12 billion in assets, or sorry, $1 billion in market cap, $4 billion in debt. $1 billion in market cap was at 19, not anymore. $12 billion in assets, and they're one of two major real estate companies in the United States that in New York City that has Class A buildings. And so that's why this was kind of a no-brainer back in 19. I made some money off of SLG. I got out of it and I put it into SoFi. I think I made like $500-600 and I traded it back in June. So yeah, I took that money and I put it into something else, but not bad. Not bad at all. It's big boy gains for SLG. Congrats to Chris and everyone that followed. Yeah, I think Ramu, you followed. You were in this one. I think you put like 10K into this, right? So hopefully you have some gains in that, plus the dividend. Yep, plus the dividends as well. I'd rather own shares of toilet paper than NY real estate over the next 20 years. Well, if you owned SLG when it was $19, you would be up a lot because of that. Let's take a look at some macro news in the context of where we think the market's going. Katie Stockton believes that we're going to see a market pull forward, even though we've had a little bit of a pullback. And again, guys, every guest, I don't care if you're gay, straight, white, black, woman, male, whatever, you get these jokes. So let us know what you think she looks like in the chat.
The summer has seen a big run for stocks like NVIDIA, extending its gains over 30% in the last 3 months, surpassing its 200-day moving average. Joining us now to read the charts is Katie Stockton, Fairlead Strategies founder and managing partner and a CNBC contributor. Katie, always great to see you.
Good to see you too.
NVIDIA, what do you see here?
It actually looks like a short-term breakout within its very steep long-term uptrend. But I wouldn't be chasing it here. I do feel that there's been a loss of momentum more broadly for the tech space. That includes NVIDIA. Our intermediate term gauges are probably at best neutral right now. So we feel that we would hold existing long positions, but not adding exposure until we feel convinced that the corrective phase in the broader market is over.
Okay, and what will you need to see in order to be convinced? And I'm assuming you're talking about specifically the biggest tech stocks, the quote unquote Magnificent Seven, as some like to call them.
Well, it's been really interesting. So the past 2 weeks, we've had some relief from the weakness in early August. And those 2 weeks have been very largely driven by those mega caps. And I think it shows the propensity of investors to go right back to the existing leadership of the market into weakness. So I do still think that those leaders will take us to this corrective phase, but I'm not convinced it's over yet. We tend to see corrective phases unfold in like an A, B, C fashion, the B being a counter trend move. And I think that that's what we've probably seen over the last couple of weeks, and perhaps stabilization in yields instills the next downdraft.
You surprised by how quickly the market seemed to turn around in the month of August? As we were talking earlier, a tale of 2 months.
Well, we did get to a place where it was a widespread short-term oversold reading, and it wasn't a very fast and furious pullback, but it was enough to generate that. So from sort of a breadth perspective, it actually was somewhat natural. And of course, now we come into September and there's very weak seasonal influences. So I think we need to assume that we're not out of the woods yet, but the damage really is only short term at this point. So
I agree with her. I do not think we are out of the woods yet. By the way, did you guys watch that movie Inside the Woods? Do you guys remember that movie? It's in Disney. Into the Woods, Into the Woods, Disney. Yep, 2014. Speaking of woods, see, this is where my mind goes. This is how I make all these connections. My first date ever was in New York City, Into the Woods with a girl. That was the first movie I watched on a date. I was a junior in high school, Into the Woods. So anyway, I don't think we're out of the woods, but to her point, if all this inflation data we got this week has been positive, especially on the jobs front, the last remaining piece is September 13th CPI. We could still see, I still think we could see S&P to 420. We could get that level of a pullback, but it would be very short-lived because there wouldn't be any legs for that to stand on, for that to turn into a full-on recession. Maybe next year that could happen, but at least in the next 4 months, I don't think that's the case. Another piece that Fundstrat put out yesterday, that when the S&P is up more than 15%, but less than 20%, historically, on average, September returns 3%. And then for the rest of the year, the S&P returns 8% at 7.9 on average when the S&P is in this unique situation, which has happened about 7-8 times since 1905, where it's up 15%, but not up 20% going into August. So historically, September is supposed to be bad. If it's in this kind of Goldilocks range where it's in this unique position, September is actually not the worst.
Still have long-term positive momentum. We still have breadth that is actually constructive, even though it's pulled back.
There were some who, I'm sorry, there were some who said that since we started with NVIDIA, that the lack of reaction maybe marked a top in chips, generally speaking. But you just said that now we have another near-term breakout.
It does look like one. It's not one that I'm chasing or buying into. We actually also have one in Alphabet that looks like a short-term breakout. But because of the top-down influences, that's why I wouldn't be adding into strength for these names. And then you see Broadcom under pressure this morning. I think semiconductor stocks do exhibit leadership in uptrends. But right now, I think we see one more downdraft before we get back into that sort of reassertion of the uptrend.
Where do you see rates going in this positive uptrend for stocks? Do they have to go lower?
It's really interesting because what we've noticed is that the direction of yields is almost less important as it pertains to market sentiment than the trajectory or sort of the velocity of the move. So when they're running up strongly, that tends to have a negative impact and vice versa. Right now, we're looking for stabilization above around 4%. It's about where the 50-day moving average lies for the 10-year. And after that, we're looking for more consolidation, sort of a grind sideways to lower, perhaps for a few weeks. And that might not influence sentiment in the way that it has done.
So the high that was established in October on the 10-year, that holds?
For now. So we ultimately think it will be broken because of that long-term upside momentum behind yields. But I don't think it'll happen in the near term.
Wait, you think it will be broken, though? That yields are going to go higher? Because then obviously stocks are going to have a problem.
Yeah, well, and it's just a matter of when does that happen, right? The 434 level is the resistance. It's very, very widely followed. Above that, I do think that would be a drag on equities. There's no real resistance nearby beyond that level. Mm-hmm. So I do think that would certainly impact.
Why would it happen, though? I mean, what's going to push rates beyond that 434 level, right? If we think that the data is getting a little softer around the consumer for certain, and the Fed is, arguably done. Maybe they go one more time. What's going to be the catalyst to push rates up?
This is a good question because, I'm curious about what really is that catalyst that decides for the Fed to just decide to push rates up?
The charts won't answer that question, unfortunately. So as a technical strategist, I'm just looking at the trend and the momentum. So to me, the force is momentum, but what the driving force of that momentum is really more of a macro question.
Okay. We will see if there's any macro data to support that. All right. So it's 10 a.m. September 1st. There's one thing we haven't done yet. To the 478 people that are here, thank you from the bottom of my heart. You guys make my morning every day for being here. Do you guys notice I got a haircut? I don't know why you guys are saying I'm balding in the chat. Just because I have a nice fade doesn't mean I'm balding, bro. Balding is, I don't know if there's a joke you guys are saying, or I will be balding when I'm like 45, 50, because I think that's when my dad started losing his hair, but I got 20 years, so gonna enjoy the hair until that happens. One thing we all have to do, I'm gonna show you me doing it right now so you guys know I don't lie about this. We're doing word of the day, ladies and gentlemen. Word of the freaking day, September 1st, 2023. Bot 101 says I look like a mop. I've gotten that before. Bro, before I knew how to get good haircuts, and look, I'm not saying I have the best haircut right now, especially because I didn't gel it up. It's like bedhead, whatever. But you see how this line is straight? You see how like this fade makes sense? You see how this beard is like intact? Sophomore year, freshman year, I didn't have a good barber. So I was getting some wacky haircuts, bro. Like I know this looks wacky to you, but technically this is pretty cool. I just have to make it look right. I was getting some shit that looked like I was a mushroom. Like it was bad, bro. It was really bad, especially 5th grade. And then I realized, Indians can't cut hair. So you stop going to these Indian barbers. All they know how to do is fucking like IT solutions. They can't cut hair. And that's when I was like, maybe I should go to the Hispanic part of town. And then I became who I became. That's when I discovered what it means to actually get a haircut. So here we go. This is what we're going to do. Word of the day. I'm going to do it right now. Word of the day. You see right here on dictionary.com, September 1st. What do we got? Egregious.
Egregious.
Extraordinary in some bad way. I actually knew this word. It's kind of a boring word. Egregious. Egregious is the word of the day. We all know what egregious. Let's do a better one. Let's do Let's do a better one. Word of the day. Let's see if we get Merriam-Webster. What do they got? Embargo. Yo, what are these boring words? This is boring. We know what embargo is. Let's do the New York Times. Raucous? What is this? How do you say it? Raucous? Oh, raucous. This is just
Raucous.
yo. Wow. Oh, God. Is why did she say it like that? Hold on.
Raucous.
Is that just me? Bro, is that just me? Why is she saying it like that? Raucous.
Raucous.
I don't know. They gotta change the voice on that, bro. Like, go back to I just need to hear Siri. She's saying it like she's trying to be seductive or something. All right, the word of the days were pretty boring. Is there any other good website for this? Vocabulary.com. Oh, maybe this one's better. Cerebellum.
Cerebellum.
No, cerebellum. Oh, this is a better word. If you're a professional juggler, you can thank your cerebellum for your great coordination. The cerebellum is the part of your brain that handles more. I think I knew this, but I guess I didn't know this as specifically. There we go. This is the word of the day. Cerebellum. Cerebellum. So the part of your brain that handles motor control. Cerebellum entered English in the 16th century from the Latin word meaning little brain. The cerebellum is located at the base of the brain near the back of your head. It is a separate structure stuck onto the rest of your brain. So it is like your little brain. The cerebellum is responsible for balance and muscle tone. All right. That's the word of the day. Make sure you use the word of the day. And somehow some people were using it in the comments on the video yesterday. It was hilarious. So it was really great. Cerebellum, the part of your brain that handles motor control. Hopefully this market has some momentum and it uses its cerebellum to control the motor by which the market is using to go forward. That was just horrible. I fucked it up. That was bad. But you get the point. Hopefully we can find a way to use that word. All right, that's it for the market open. So what I do on Fridays is I stay for like another 5 minutes just to do questions. I know last Friday I stayed for like an hour. I'm actually going to stay for 5 minutes because I have a bunch of shit to do. So if you want to leave, that's totally fine. Last 5 minutes, I'm going to stay, answer some questions, and then I'll be out for the week. I like doing this on Fridays because it's a good way to end out the market open. But we will end it out here and keep it going. Wow, look at this question. Amit, did you get your first Hispanic haircut at Victor's in New Brunswick? Not my first, but this was Victor. I love Victor's. This is awesome. Wow, you actually know New Jersey. Yeah, Victor's was one of the Victor's. I went there for about 2 years in college. I drove there every Friday and I got my haircut. So it was not my first Hispanic place. My first Hispanic space was a place near me back in like 2015. But by 2018, I started going to Victor's. That's awesome. I love Victor's. That was great. Amidst cerebellum didn't give a great example of the word of the day. Yeah, because it's the part of the brain that controls motor. And I guess I'm a little confused. What exactly does that mean by motor? Like, I don't know. Do you guys know what exactly is motor mean? Like the motor part of your, I think of driving, but I don't think the cerebellum means that. Like, does motor like that's confusing. I actually don't know exactly what the point of that is. Part of the brain at the back of the skull, it functions to coordinate and regulate muscular activity. Oh, motor as in like moving your arms and hands. So that's your little brain that determines like when you decide like your hand-eye coordination, I would imagine, is part of your motor functions. Ah, okay. That makes a lot more sense now. That makes a lot. Telling your body what to do. Right. That makes a lot more sense. Can you explain what happened to AMC? Reverse split. Where's AMC right now? AMC is probably down. AMC... Yeah, it's down at $12.70. They reverse split to be $20. Now they're at $12. Reverse split is usually not the best thing for stocks. And so it tends to go down when reverse split happens. So that's why it's down. Okay, now I know what this actually means. Amit, why is it so difficult for you to accept your balding reality? I'm personally shorting your hair. Big gains incoming. You're right. I just need to accept it. I just got an injury to my cerebrum and I started buying Zoom and AMC. Damn, you put a Kathy stock with AMC? That's a little mean. Goodness. Market needs equilibrium. Grammar fail. Yep. Are you anywhere near Kearney, New Jersey? Not near Kearney. I've been in Kearney many times in my life. But I currently don't live anywhere near Kearney. Would you rather own 100 shares of Disney or Cisco? Wow. That's a good one. Everyone should answer that one in the chat. I would personally own 100 just because it's getting to a point where it seems so depressed in terms of stock price. Pulling it up again, Disney right now at $82. Yeah, I mean, I just take the shot on Disney. Cisco's cool, and there would be a nice dividend, but if Disney figures this shit out, they should go back to 100 theoretically, right? Like that's where their average is. So I would take a bet on Disney and just have it play out. I would just follow Chris into it. Like, Chris, you better be fucking right on this. Hopefully this one works. SoFi and Palantir tonight. Yes, CodeStrap will not be on, but SoFi and Palantir tonight. SoFi at 10 o'clock, Palantir at 11 o'clock. Now, I'll give you guys this juicy piece of news because you guys are here as we're at the end of the market open stream. There is a chance I'm going to AIP for Palantir's conference. Now, the chance is like strong and the chance is small. The reason the chance is strong is because, from what I understand, they want me at the conference to be there, which would be super cool. But it might not be the easiest for them to coordinate the whole thing. So in the back of my head, I don't think I'll be going, even though what I understand from my communications is that I probably am going. So I have no, this might, like in the next week or two, we might end up deciding what's going to happen. But if I go, it would be super cool. I mean, it would be super, super awesome. If I don't, I can live stream it from the bricks, right? So we'll see what ends up happening. I would love to go. I would love to see it in person. So we'll end up seeing it if it happens. It's in Palo Alto, California. CodeStrap is the guy who told me that they want me to get there. So now it's up to them to kind of see if they can coordinate the whole thing. If I get there, great. If I don't, that's fine. But if I do get there, that would be super, super cool. They are not hiring me, no. They're not even paying for the flight because technically they're not allowed to compensate people for any of that stuff. It's a public company, all that stuff. So nothing like that. But they did want me there. So it would be, they know who I am. Let's just put it like that, right? So, and I think it's pretty obvious. They know who a lot of us are in the Palantir community. That's how they found CodeStrap, all that stuff. But we'll see if I can end up getting there. If I do, that'd be cool. If not, that's all right. Are you guys still going to do the Finance Junkies on Sunday with a 3-day weekend? Yes. So we're still going to do, yeah, of course. This weekend, well, of course, we'll do Finance Junkies. This weekend, Finance Junkies will be officially on the new channel. So the new channel starts this weekend, September 3rd. If you just type in Finance Junkies podcast on YouTube, you'll find us. We are never going to be on my channel anymore. Yesterday was the last time on my channel. And Chris, Data Driven Investing, was the last guest ever on our channel. So we are officially on the new channel forever. And every super chat we get now will go into the Vegas fund. So you're funding the ridiculousness we're going to do at Vegas. Vegas is confirmed, by the way, October 26th to 30th. We will be hanging out with fans. I don't even like calling you fans because that sounds pretentious, but like people who watch the podcast and enjoy the content on the 28th and 29th. So if you're going to be there, don't plan to see us on the 26th, 27th. 27th is my birthday. 28th, 29th, we'll be hanging out. We'll have some activities planned. And it'll be fun. It'll be really cool to see a bunch of you guys in person and just like, it's surreal, bro, to see people in person that actually engage with the content. So it'll be super fun to see anybody who comes there. Viewers, yes, that's way better. Viewers, that's a way better word to use it. Carp has an admit wake your ass up sweatshirt. That'd be hilarious. Is the AI Summit live? Yes, Carp will be there. Carp is going to do a speech before they do it. You know, I hate to admit it, but I had a dream about Carp last night. I didn't want to admit it on the market stream, but I can't hide anything from you guys. I had a dream about Carp. It was this weird dream, bro. It was like he was wearing his white shirt and his arm was injured for some reason. I explicitly remember this, and I gave him a handshake, but he could barely like shake it because his arm was injured. And I was at some like hotel. It was weird, bro. It was a weird dream. I took melatonin last night, so that's probably why the dream happened. If you take melatonin, you're begging for a bad dream or a weird dream. But when you make almost 2,000 videos about Palantir, sometimes the main characters end up showing up in your dreams. It just ends up happening. So that's it. Just joined Twitter. How can I get on the Vegas chat there? We don't have a Vegas group, Imnot, but follow me and just DM me and I'll send you all the info. I'll make a group chat in like a week for all of the names that are coming. So it'll be a WhatsApp group. So make sure you're on WhatsApp. I think everyone has WhatsApp, and that's the thing I'll be sending all the updates to when we actually get to Vegas. All right. That's pretty much it for me. I was about to click away, and then I heard Amit said he had a Carp dream. This is why I'm a content creator, bro. I keep people the retention. That's it. I keep people here. I have to keep people here. I had a dream PayPal crashed and Chris, you know, Chris has PayPal. he has a decent amount of PayPal, so he's hoping PayPal does as well, just like all of us. All right, that's it. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it, everybody. Let's one last look at Palantir. $15.14, up 1% on the day, recovering from that nasty 10% fall. We'll talk about it today on Palantir Weekly. We'll get a little bit deeper into what's going on SoFi Weekly as well. And that's it. Have a great Friday. Thank you all for being here. It means the world to me. And have a great weekend as well. Again, we'll be on Palantir Weekly and SoFi Weekly tonight, and then Finance Junkies on Sunday. Even though the market is not open on Monday, we will be there Sunday night. All right, that's it. Have a good one. Good night, everybody. Bye-bye.